I want to talk today about transitions. That's a hot topic that comes up with therapists, with parents, and true to our framework. I think it's so important that non-autistics understand transitioning through the autistic lens. And I know you have shared that painful shifting. And so there's even, transition when you're busy doing something, but then there's transitions like, hey, we got to go wherever. So there's a couple of transitions, but explain to us so we understand through the autistic lens what transitions mean for autistics, how it can be difficult, as well as the supports that we can provide so transitions aren't so hard.
And it's interesting because I can go from my own perspective when it comes to transition. If I have to shift from I'm doing something watching visual, and then I have to shift to because someone says something to me, making a connection within the brain, this is what research has said over and over and over, it's inconsistent and it can fluctuate from I make too many connections or too few connections. And if I am really hyper focused, it's real hard for me to pull away from what I'm doing to shift to another area of the brain to process what someone's saying. And then it's almost equally hard to go back to where did I leave off? And now I'm frustrated because my working memory says I don't remember where I left off and I have to start all over again. So it's very frustrating. Just, and I hate to say painful, but it is sometimes painful, which is why I mentioned to you that when my husband would simply stand in my peripheral vision, he made it easier for me to make the shift because now I was shifting from visual to visual in the same area of the brain, and it wasn't so painful. And then once I made the shift to seeing him being there, now I'm more comfortable. It wasn't painful. Now I can say, okay, what is it you need or want from me? And then he can speak. And so this leads to the strategy of how you can help us make that shift more comfortably so we don't get upset by that sudden nature of you interrupting us with speech, which is the typical thing. It's time to go. It's always auditory. So, and this comes with, first of all, if you do feed forward, i.e., I've got a schedule and I know that interruption is going to be coming because there's a time limit. Now I'm prepared for it. It's not unexpected. Unexpected is even harder to deal with than expected. In terms of making a shift. Then you're going to provide me with a visual cue. And this is where a visual timer is very helpful. I don't like being interrupted by a loud, sudden noise, but I can glance easily between what I'm doing and that visual timer that's in front of me, and I can, oh, it's getting close. And that's not painful. Now I'm starting to realize time is that I'm going to need to make a shift. And I can start preparing myself. And then the last thing is helping me conclude what I'm doing before making that shift so that I have that opportunity to remember where I left off so that when I do go back to it, I can remember. Whether it's just taking a picture, writing it down, you're going to remember for me. And this is kind of the feedback. Okay, no, we're going to have to go, but let's do this to make sure that it's there and you remember and you're ready to go back to it when we come back. If we do all those feed forward, feedback, and prepare me for it, that's not hard. I can do it. Now you're supporting and facilitating it so that it's not uncomfortable. That strong reaction you get is because you've made it so uncomfortable by auditorily interrupting me, not preparing me, and then not helping me make that transition by knowing what it is I need to do. See, if you in feed forward, you tell me, okay, when it's time to go, we're going to need to do what to get ready. So I'm already prepared to know what to expect and what you need from me. And I don't have to then process those words when you do interrupt me. Now I have to not only shift to that area, but I have to process. And then I have to act. And if I don't act fast enough, then you become impatient and you're making it harder. Does
And
that
those
make
are,
sense?
oh, 100%. And those are such easy things that we can implement. But this is where sometimes the partner needs to make changes, not the autistic, because I know, especially as parents, we're like, oh, shoot, we got to go. But that's
Mm-hmm.
our own maybe executive functioning weakness of not planning out enough time. So, really, these strategies and tools, we can use them as therapists and adults ourselves. Like, okay, let's plan and prepare. And then we're going to let our kiddo know we've got to leave in 5 minutes. Here's our visual timer. This is what we're going to do when we transition. These are the strategies and tools that when we talk to parents or we share these with therapists are like, wow, I saw an instant change. And it's an instant change because that's
It is.
all it takes is understanding what change you need to make. And it's an environmental change. It's not changing them. It's maybe changing a little bit of what you do, but if everyone's happy in the end, it's definitely worth it.
And it will make a difference because we're going to be comfortable and we're going to trust you that you're going to
Mhm.
prepare us in advance. You're going to tell us what we need to do, and you're making it easy for us. Now, wow.
Yeah. And that
Instead
trust
of
piece.
instead
Yeah.
of instead of stressing us out, and then we start to anticipate and we get irritated with people just being in our environment because we're afraid they're going to do what upsets us.
Yes, definitely. And that's the goal of our framework is that connectedness. When you trust someone, you're going to connect. So you're going to see that. And like you said, if somebody knows that's going to be the new routine as they're getting prepared, that transition will go better and that trust just continues to build and build. Awesome. Easy strategies and tools anyone could even just implement today.
Mhm.
Great. Thanks, Sue.
You're welcome.